Opening hook. Guys, you won't believe what happened to me last week. A neighbor literally invaded my privacy in the most shameless way possible. And when you hear how I turned the game against her, you'll understand why this story is already going viral in my entire neighborhood. Stay until the end, because the revenge I orchestrated was so perfect that even I was impressed with myself. My name is Sandra. I'm 42 years old. I work as an accountant, and I've been living in a gated community for 5 years. I've always been the type of discreet neighbor who follows the rules and doesn't meddle in anyone's life. But apparently that wasn't enough for my next-door neighbor, who we'll call Karen. Because, people, there's no more appropriate name for what you're about to hear. It all started on a Tuesday morning when I was having coffee peacefully and heard some strange noises outside. It was a metallic sound, kind of rhythmic. Click, click, click. I thought it was construction or some repair, but when I looked through the window, I almost spit out my coffee from how outraged I became. The shocking discovery. Karen was at the property boundary with a professional camera. It wasn't a cell phone, people. It was one of those big cameras with powerful zoom, photographing my house from every imaginable angle. She was literally documenting every detail of my property as if she were a private investigator hired to spy on me. I stayed hidden behind the curtain watching this woman spend more than 40 minutes photographing my entrance, gardens, windows, roof, yard, and what made me most furious, she climbed a ladder to manage to photograph my backyard and even the interior of my house through the windows that were open. Guys, when I say she photographed everything, it's everything. My first impulse was to run outside and ask what kind of nonsense that was, but something told me to observe first. And thank goodness I did that, because what I discovered later made me understand that this woman was plotting something much worse than I imagined. 2 days later, I received a letter from the Homeowners Association that made me understand the whole dirty game. Karen had made a formal complaint against me alleging multiple violations of the condominium rules, and guess what accompanied the complaint? Exactly. All those photos she took of my house, including images of the interior, through the windows. The list of supposed violations was laughable if it wasn't so revolting. Fence 5 centimeters taller than permitted, flowers that weren't on the approved list, unauthorized exterior light fixture, mailbox 2 centimeters out of position, and unauthorized objects in the yard. She was referring to my plant pots. People. Each allegation was completely false. My property was impeccable, and in total compliance, I had checked everything when I moved in. But what revolted me most weren't the lies. It was discovering through neighbor Ruth the real reason behind all this nonsense. Karen had tried to buy my house 5 years ago when it was put up for sale. She wanted to expand her property and made several offers that were rejected. The former owner ended up selling to me for a better price, and this woman never got over it. Ruth told me that Karen always thought my house should have been hers, and since I moved in, she looked for any excuse to cause me. Preparing the defense. Guys, when I discovered this, something inside me awakened. If Karen wanted to play dirty, I was going to show her how to play right. I hired a lawyer specializing in property rights who explained to me that photographing the interior of my house through windows could constitute invasion of privacy, especially the photos of my bedroom. I also hired an independent inspector who confirmed what I already knew. My property was perfect, all of Karen's allegations were lies. But I wasn't going to stop there. If she was so concerned about association rules, I decided to investigate her property too. And people, what I discovered was hilarious. Karen had violated more rules than I could count. Back fence, 30 centimeters. Above the limit, deck built without approval. Unauthorized plants, irregular satellite dish, unapproved shed, cracked sidewalks. But the cherry on top came when the neighbor from behind told me that every week she threw trash in the vacant lot. For 2 weeks, we collected video evidence of this illegal practice. Imagine her face when she found out she was being filmed committing environmental crime every week. The moment of truth arrived. I prepared a complete dossier refuting all her false allegations with technical reports, dated photos, and historical documents proving that all my improvements were approved. But the fun part was when I submitted my own complaint against Karen, documenting each violation I found on her property, including the video of illegal trash disposal. The association scheduled a hearing to analyze both complaints. Karen's face, when she saw the size of my dossier, was priceless. She clearly expected it to be just a formality where I would be fined. During the hearing, I methodically presented each piece of evidence showing that her allegations were unfounded. The board members were visibly irritated when they saw the photos she took of the interior of my house. The association president said that photographing the interior of neighbors' houses was completely inappropriate and could constitute harassment. When it was my turn to present Karen's violations, the atmosphere changed completely. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. The most satisfying moment was showing the video of her throwing trash illegally. She tried to deny it was her in the video, but the quality was crystal clear. The decision was unanimous and devastating for Karen. All allegations against me were rejected, while she was found guilty of multiple violations and received the largest fine in the association's history, almost 5,000 Rs. Additionally, she had to correct all irregularities within 60 days or face additional fines. The association also decided that the photos constituted a violation of the harmonious living policy and prohibited her from photographing other residents' properties. She was placed on a watch list for invasive behavior and harassment. The next day, Karen showed up at my door furious, screaming that I had ruined everything and that she just wanted to maintain community standards. I calmly replied that she had invaded my privacy, lied about my property, and tried to harass me into selling my house. Any additional attempts at harassment would be reported to authorities. E completamente a sua propriedade está finalmente em conformidade com as regras. Aprendi lições valiosas. Sempre documentos tudo, conheçam seus direitos. E se alguém quebra regras para prejudicar vocês, provavelmente está quebrando outras regras também. The following weeks, I watched Karen scrambling to correct all the violations on her property. She had to hire contractors to lower the fence, remove the deck, replant the entire garden. The total cost with corrections and fines exceeded 15,000 Rs, all because she decided to invade my privacy and lie about my property. The best revenge came when I found out that Karen contacted a realtor to sell her own house. The costs had created financial pressure, and other neighbors thanked me for having reported her, revealing that she had been bothering other people for years, but nobody had taken action before. Today, 6 months later, my life has returned to normal. Karen completely avoids me and her property is finally in compliance with the rules. I learned valuable lessons. Always document everything, know your rights, and if someone breaks rules to harm you, they're probably breaking other rules too. Guys, this story completely changed my perspective on how to deal with problematic neighbors. Nobody has the right to invade your privacy, lie about you, or try to force you to leave your own home. Sometimes you have to defend your principles, even if it's laborious. For those going through a similar situation, you have rights. Don't let yourselves be intimidated by people who count on you not knowing how to defend yourselves. Document everything. Know the local rules and don't be afraid to seek professional help. Revenge served cold, with solid evidence and legal procedures, is always the most satisfying. If you liked this story, leave that cheeky like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our neighborhood stories. Comment if you've been through something similar. I love reading your experiences. Remember, let's respect each other but never let anyone walk all over you. Until the next epic story, guys.